So welcome to Real Life in Real Estate. My name is Nickie, a local real estate agent serving Tacoma, Puyallup, and beyond. And with me today is Alan Dueck with Caring Transitions. It was really important for me to get Alan on the podcast, and I think you're going to enjoy this episode because as much as we love having original owners in their homes and being able to age in place, there comes a time when they just can't. And I've recently gone through this with my grandfather, and so my parents are doing this talk all the time, but I'm also talking with my parents. What do you want to do? Do you really want to age in place? And then at what point do we start making new decisions? Since this is your expertise, I thought you should be on here. So welcome, Alan.
Well, thank you, Nickie. And yeah, happy to help any way that I can, just with sharing information that can help the folks you're trying to help. Just gain some information, gain some awareness, maybe start thinking through strategies for how to have these conversations and where these conversations can lead.
Yes, exactly. So just to get started, will you tell us a little bit about Caring Transitions and what you do, and how did you get into this?
Sure. So Caring Transitions is, our primary role is senior relocations. It's a specialty to help with move management for folks in their older years who are making a big change in their living situation. So the transition that we speak about when we talk about caring transitions is the transition from, let's say, the large house to the small house. Maybe the house where you've lived for many years and raised the family there, and then now the house is really too much for you, it's too big for you, just doesn't suit your life the same way that it used to, and so you're contemplating a change into something smaller that fits you better. So that's the transition part, and clearly, you know, if you think about that for a moment, you realize that there are a lot of steps involved with that. And so that's where the senior move management becomes an issue, because what we're doing is just helping to manage all of the details that have to be monitored. You know, a real estate transaction is very complex, right? Which is why smart people use a professional, right?
Yes.
Because there's just too much you have to know, too much you have to figure out, even if you're an independent, do-it-yourself type of person. And there's too much that you can actually get wrong. And I know you must, I'm sure you explain that to potential clients.
Yes. But then the other thing I try to tell them is, this is an emotional process for you and not for me. And so let me protect you from this. And you're doing the same thing.
Great.
It's such an emotional time.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point, because it's not only the details and the logistics of how to make it happen and not missing anything and getting it wrong, but it's also the emotion. You know, there can be risk involved, so that you know, brings fear and anxiety. You don't want to get things wrong. You don't want to make the wrong choice. So yes, a big part of what we do is also helping to support the client and provide that guidance, but really from the perspective of coming alongside them. So that's really the nature of our work, is to kind of enter into their world as a trusted partner through the process.
Right.
Probably a lot like what you do. And just meet them where they are, hear who they are, hear what's important to them, what they value, what they want to see happen at the end of this process. And put our heads together, but also to be the professional and the expert and say, here's what I see are the options that would help you best accomplish your goals. So that's really what Caring Transitions is all about, is helping to navigate that transition and help folks get to the destination, not only where they want to be, but also get there in the way they want to get there, with, you know, the emotional, you know, without feeling completely drained and frayed by the end of it.
Yes, and also with dignity and knowing that they had a choice in the matter, and there were choices available instead of, I've been told that's not how we want to go.
Or feeling forced.
Yes.
Right? So having that choice and that agency. So
that's so important.
Super important.
How did you end up here? What brought you to this?
So my wife's parents, over the last few years, we had to help them through this process. So her dad passed away in 2020, and then it became really clear that her mom could no longer live on her own. That was not as evident while Dad was still around. But once he was gone, it really became clear she can't be by herself.
Yeah.
So my wife, Carrie, we do the business together. She and her sister were caregivers for her mom. Eventually, Carrie became full-time caregiver. And through that process, especially in the later years, moving her into a care facility where she could get more help, we navigated a lot of these things that we're now helping others to navigate through. But it also touched on something that was very important to us. You know, it touched us where we could see the need, but also we felt like this is something that we can help with and that we want to be able to help people through.
Yeah.
Because just knowing how challenging and difficult this whole process can be, being able to help people through this and to, you know, be the kind of people to come alongside,
Yeah.
and just, you know, be a helping hand, the support and the guidance. That's really what motivated us to get into this.
Okay, I love knowing that you've got a personal story behind it, because not everyone does. Some people find a franchise and say, oh, I want to do that. The business model works out. But knowing that you have a personal stake in it and you're not coming at it from a book learning, I was told by my boss that this is best practices, but you actually know, I've been there, I've been through the ringer, this is the best practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it. And it really just resonates with who we are as people and where our hearts are. And it's also, you know, I would add to that one other reason why we are in business at all is because we really felt like being in business, being business owners, was another opportunity to bring some good into the world, right? So to be the kind of place that people want to work for, and where we prioritize the things that that are important to us, but I think are important to a lot of other people. You know, like really, you know, keeping our promises and delivering on what we say we're going to do. Those are the kinds of things that I think make a difference, a really positive difference in the world. And so that's also what we wanted to accomplish.
And then you're probably attracting really incredible employees because they're connecting with those core values for your whole company.
Yeah, exactly. And we have felt so lucky, blessed, if you want to say that.
Yeah.
About the people who've come to work with us, because you're exactly right. They're connecting with the values that we're putting out there and saying this is what we want in our team, and they're saying, yeah, that's what I want to be a part of too.
Oh,
so
that's beautiful.
Yeah, so it's been really cool.
Yay! Wow, I want to say congratulations.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm very happy about that, genuinely, because it's like, wow, you know, I was nervous about being a business owner who, this is so goofy.
Yeah.
When we started this, I think I thought we would just do it on our own, just my wife and me. And we would do everything. And then we figured out pretty quick, no, we need a crew. We need a team to do this. And, you know, but I didn't want to hire, I didn't want to manage people. So this is all new, and this is all stuff that I was not really looking forward to as part of, you know, business ownership.
Yeah.
But it has become one of the things that really makes me happy. And oddly enough, I like payday for my people because I just think of it as these are great people who are contributing to our business and our success, and, you know, to helping our clients.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that we can pay them, and, you know, we have this thing going on where this is what we're doing. So
that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Then it's almost a movement.
Yeah.
A ministry and a resource, so much more than just a business, right? But we're glad that it is a business and that we get paid to do this.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I like the way you said that. That's the way it feels, and, you know, when you get to bring more of yourself into this rather than just, you know, your money-making skills, whatever those might be. Yeah.
So what are some of the services that you provide so people get at least a high-level look at, do I need this service? Maybe I don't. Maybe I can do it myself.
Yeah.
And then when to know I'm in over my head. What do I do?
Right. So the senior move management is really kind of, it's really the core service behind Caring Transitions. And then the other services support that. So the other services are primarily space planning, decluttering, and downsizing. So when there's a transition, then there are choices that have to be made about what to take with you to the new place. Typically, you're downsizing to about 1/2 to 1/4 the space of your existing home.
Okay. Okay.
So clearly you can, I mean, just doing very basic math, you're going to make choices about half of the stuff or less that you will get to bring with you.
Right.
And 1/2 to 3/4 of it you're going to let go of.
So it's very common to be leaving a 2,000 square foot house, never going to 900 square feet or less.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's everything from bookshelves and dressers to tables and cabinets and hutches.
Yeah, couches.
Couches.
You know, how you set up your living room and you know, oftentimes these places, they just don't have the space that you're leaving.
Yeah.
So helping through that decision and realizing then that when you make that choice to let go of things, that then you have options. And so that leads to our third service, which is estate liquidations and online auctions. So we can do traditional in-person estate sales, or we can do an online auction. We have our own proprietary platform for that. It has nationwide reach.
Really?
Yeah. And so almost 1 million people are actively connected with our auction site.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of interest and a lot of traffic to that site, which makes those auctions very successful for our
That's probably
clients.
extremely valuable. So this is probably really helpful for people who have valuables and collections that might not be the going thing for Facebook Marketplace, and for the random pop buys of garage sailors.
Yeah.
Like I know someone who has a very extensive doll collection, and that's not going to sell well if I open up the garage and say, "Here's some dolls."
Yeah.
Where auction site, they'll get in front of the right people.
Exactly. And I like how you phrased that right there, because with the auction site, then people are looking for your things rather than you trying to find the people who are interested in them.
Yeah.
So that's a huge difference right there, because you think about all the reasons that things online are different from physical in person. It's available 24/7, right? The auction might run only for 7 or 10 days, but someone can go search that auction any time of the day for the entire time that it's running.
Yeah. They may have insomnia.
Yeah.
Then they'll find exactly what they were looking for.
And then they're on the East Coast, and so we're not constrained by that time difference. They're looking when it's convenient for them, and so that online auction platform, that really opens up possibilities for a much more effective sale, because like you said, the doll thing, if this is a big doll area, our part of Western Washington, if it was doll country, then an in-person sale, people are going to come buy those dolls.
Right.
But if it's not, then you have to count on people from other parts of the country who are looking for those things, and they'll find them on our site. It's called CT Bids, by the way. That's
okay. All right. Should we put a link in the comments?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we'll have a link there.
So CT Bids, so that sale portion of it, that assists with with letting go of things. And then finally, when that transition's taking place, they're moving out of the big house. The goal is going to be to sell the big house in most cases.
Yeah.
And so then the intermediate goal becomes getting the house ready to list with the real estate agent.
Yes.
And so we have to have, what do you want to see in a house you're going to list?
Decluttered.
Yeah, and preferably
clean.
Just the house. That's what you want to see, right?
I would love to see just the house.
Just the house. And so after the sale, after we've moved the folks into their new residence and they're comfortably settled in, then we get the house empty, so that we can then hand you the keys, Nickie, and say, "Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith's house is ready to go," and.
Yeah.
Then you can work your magic on it.
That's incredibly helpful, because I cannot imagine dealing with people in the house at the same time as the decluttering, and me coming in as the real estate agent saying, "You still got to do more. You still got to go more. You got to get rid of more stuff." I don't want to have that conversation.
It sounds like you've had to have it a few times.
It's not my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's hard, and I realize that we are we're in similar businesses in the way that we are working with clients in similar ways to help them achieve a common goal, and so that, I think that is also a big reason why what we do is so valuable to that transition process, because it helps you do what you're trying to do. Even if you've already got them listed, now you're trying to facilitate things so you can get to that closing, right? So it shows well, you get the offers and it closes.
Right.
At any point in that process, there may be some additional help that's needed.
Yeah,
So
definitely. So when people are just getting started or they're dealing with their parents or another loved one, you're like, and how much do you think they can DIY before it's time to say, yeah, I want help with this?
that's so individualized,
Okay.
and we see a complete range of things. So here might be the best case scenario for DIY is if you are local, number one, to your, so
I think that part's huge.
Yeah.
Yes. If
But-
you're
but-
not local, forget it.
right, but surprisingly, people will do that. They'll travel from out of state. They'll even, from out of the county, and they'll set aside a weekend, several weeks in a row,
Okay.
to come and facilitate this. I'll give you an example. Some of the folks we helped last year, their adult son lives in Olympia, and the parents lived in Gem Heights in Puyallup. And, that's not terribly distant, but what the son explained to us was that he was willing to do this, but he understood that it would take him 6 months of weekends.
Oh, wow.
6 months of weekends.
Yeah.
So he said, I'm not going to do that, And he was very involved with our work with his parents. So his dedication and devotion to his parents, no question about it, right? He wants to see them get a good outcome. He wants to help them. But he just recognized he can't give, he's raising his own family, wife and kids. He can't give up 6 months of weekends as much as he wants to help his parents. So he was very glad to find Caring Transitions to help with that. So they're your two sides of the DIY question, right?
Yeah.
So if you're local, if you have the energy, you have the time, probably even, let's say, other resources like money, then of course there's a lot of this that you can do by yourself, just like you can with any other, intensive project. If you have the skills and the resources, then of course DIY might make sense for some of it, or maybe even all of it.
Yeah.
But if any of those things is not in place, then that puts a greater burden on you trying to accomplish this. And so at that point, or really at any point, you can start asking yourself, I wonder if it would make more sense to have a professional come in, right? Because then it could just be done, and I know I'm going to pay for it, but could that actually be worth more than the time and energy that I would have to put into it to make it happen? Would I get a better result, or would it be than what I would get if I do it myself?
That must be an incredible wrestling moment for everybody.
I'm sure it is.
Sure it is.
Yeah, for many of them is making that decision. I think one of the other things that's probably just as challenging is going through this process and not being aware that there are resources available.
I think that's the worst.
Yeah.
That
So feeling
sounds
like-
terrible.
Yeah, I mean, so picture yourself thinking about how you're going to help mom and dad move out of the big house
Yeah.
and into the new place that they want to move into, or that they need to move into, and you realize, oh, my only choice is 6 months of weekends, and I've got to call the movers. I've got to call,
Yes.
the estate sale people.
And now you're taking on essentially a part-time job
Yeah,
with what hours?
yeah,
What?
right,
What energy?
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, if you're raising your own family at that moment,
same
because
time.
that's exactly what the sandwich generation is doing,
Yeah.
taking care of the family you're raising, taking care of the people who raised you. So it's a tough spot to be in. And so, yeah, if you knew that there was help available and that all you had to do was call one person and that they could make recommendations about how to get all this done or just parts of it done,
Yeah.
and offer you the services, and you can decide whether that makes sense for your time and money and energy, then yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Well, that's why we're here. Tell more people there are resources. You don't have to do it alone, and you don't have to do it by yourself.
Yeah.
Right? We have had an organizer come on because organizing is such a huge deal, whether you're moving in or out. of your home or just maintaining your home. And so this is another time where you might not be moving in or out. It might just be, oh, we have a lot of decisions that need to be made. We need help making them, especially having a neutral third party.
Yeah.
How much of your job ends up being a little bit of conflict resolution?
I get asked that a lot. That's kind of why I'm laughing, because I'm surprised at how often this comes up in people's thinking, because I guess it's fairly common. You recognize that when you've got parents and kids, that there's that dynamic between them that can sometimes lead to some conflict,
Yeah.
all with the best of intentions.
Of course.
And so, yeah, it does come up a lot.
Yeah.
But what's really wonderful, you mentioned this already, being a neutral third party, right? And being a neutral professional presence as well.
Yeah.
Both of them can look to us for a resolution to that without having to confront each other. They can just say, well, what do Carrie and Alan think that we ought to do? And then, they don't have to go along with that, because we don't force that on anybody, but we give them some options and help them see a way forward that makes sense to both of them.
So actually you're probably heading off conflict before it really gets into something they don't want to deal with.
In some cases, yeah.
Because we have more resources and we have a professional saying, actually, here's some choices that you get to make. And then instead of, I feel backed into a corner and you're making me do something I don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the way you phrased that too. Some choices we get to make.
Yeah.
And that really is part of the fun of this, is being able to offer solutions, but really to offer them genuinely and say, hey, here's some ways you could do this.
Yeah.
Which one do you like? I mean, that's literally the language we use. We say, which one makes you feel the best about this situation?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Right?
it's really just helping them see, we can do what feels good to you. The outcome that makes you happy.
Oh, wow.
That's what we can work towards.
And then that keeps everybody powerful. They feel like they're in the driver's seat because they truly are.
Yeah.
We're letting them do this.
Yeah.
I have the same approach with home buyers. You're the one in charge. I'm just facilitating this.
Yeah.
And I'm just making sure that you're protected. And so similar.
Yeah.
Yay. Fantastic.
No, I like that.
Gosh. Is there anything you don't do that you would refer out?
Yeah, so currently we don't do the move, so we don't actually load people's stuff and then transport it.
Yeah.
We are working on that, but right now we work with trusted move partners who have been in the business for a really long time. Really reputable movers to do the loading and the transporting, because that's Washington state laws and licensing and stuff like that. But we are looking at maybe getting licensed to do that, and also we don't do like cleaning. We don't do any handyman type stuff. So we are outsourcing those types of things. And
So it sounds like you're very people focused. We're going to take care of the people. We're going to take care of their process.
Right.
That's the goal. Yeah.
Right. Yep.
So things and house.
Yeah.
We can outsource all that, right?
Yeah.
It's so easy to find someone to do a move out clean. So easy to find movers, so easy to find staging, so easy to find all these other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have got 100 referrals for that. So it works, right?
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, but I don't have anyone else that I can say will take care of people.
Yeah. And I think that's so valuable. And Nickie, this is what I was telling you when I first walked in today.
Yeah.
Was that something I picked up on in your podcast, is that I feel like we're on the same wavelength in a lot of these things. So you're picking up on the fact that we're putting the people first. And I know that that's easy to say, but that really is the way that we always lead. Is
And
with
not
the people.
everyone does it.
And we are a business, and we don't forget that we're also trying to make a living and do that. But for me, it's just really always easy to lead with the people aspect of it, and just hope that from there, then we develop a connection that allows us to serve you and accomplish what we want to accomplish as well. So
Totally. I love that.
Yeah.
Is there anything I haven't asked?
Shoot, you haven't asked me what my favorite book of 2024 was.
Oh, you listened to that one. That's
did.
fantastic. All right, what is your favorite book from last year?
Well, of the list that I heard, so first of all, I'm going to say I'm a big time nonfiction guy all the time.
Yes.
But I also in last year have made an effort to read fiction.
Okay.
But I don't know what to read from any new authors, so I said,
Yeah.
well, I'll go and read classical authors instead. So
Nothing wrong with that.
So I've been reading Charles Dickens, so not The Christmas Story, but some of his other stuff, and I've actually enjoyed it quite a bit. So that would be one example. But then from your list, your top 10 or top 15 list, Profit First.
It's amazing.
I was like, yeah, that's a good book.
It's
So
such a good
I've
book.
already started implementing it.
Yep.
Setting up my accounts and all that. So, but yeah, it's like, yeah, that's what you got to do as a business owner. Otherwise, you can't survive.
I wish I had read that book in one of my other 2 businesses that I did before. It would have made it a lot easier and a lot more clear about where I had gaps and what wasn't working. That would have been great.
Yeah.
What's your current Charles Dickens?
Actually, I'm taking a pause on Charles Dickens now, so I'm back to nonfiction. So I'm halfway through Profit First.
Yeah.
But just really enjoying that, and let's see what else. What else am I reading? Yeah.
Audio book or physical book?
I do Kindle and physical books.
Okay.
So yeah. So when I really like the book, I buy it physical. But if I just want to read it, I'll just do Kindle.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the methods.
Yeah.
Just give me all the words and I will absorb them.
Yeah. But other than that, no audiobooks. I listen to podcasts. So when I find good ones, then I like.
I love podcasts for driving.
Yeah.
And then audiobooks for walking the dog or running or hiking.
Okay.
Because it sort of just lets my mind wander.
Yeah.
And I'm walking, so I don't have to worry about too much.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about my speed or my brakes or merging and.
Just make sure you have a safe path with no cars that are going to plow you down. So.
And not in the fog.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Yeah.
I know, crazy.
What region do you serve? Is there anywhere where you prefer to be more than others?
Yeah, Puyallup and Auburn.
Okay.
And so just draw a circle,
Circle
maybe
right
a 5-mile radius, 10-mile radius around Puyallup and Auburn, and we can help you.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Would you prefer? We may edit this later, so
another one.
we'll see how the answer goes.
Yeah.
Would you prefer that the children are calling you, or that the adults are calling you?
Either one is fantastic. So the people who call us are the ones that feel the most motivated to seek out that help.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And so we take as many calls from the adult children as we do from the older folks themselves who need that help. And either one of them.
Because maybe they are aware that they need help.
Yeah.
It's not always, but they can be.
Right. So sometimes they are, and sometimes they discover us or they've heard about us. Maybe their real estate agent has recommended us.
I hope so. Yes.
and that's an important part of the process to having that team to support your real estate activities. But yeah, we have dealt with a lot of the adult children, and because this is important to them. They're looking for ways to help their parents because they realize it's going to be too much for them.
Yeah, totally agree. Fantastic. That was amazing. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you.
I think we've gotten your name out and let people know there are choices and there are resources and you don't have to do it alone.
Yep.
That's the most important thing.
You nailed it. That's it right there. So yeah.
And the timer.
Look at that. Wow, we had that dialed in.
Okay, I'll say the closing real quick and then we can be done.
Okay, awesome.
All right, so if you've heard anything today that really sparked your interest and like, wow, I am so glad that we know that there are resources to help us. I will put all of Alan's contact information below in the show notes. And where else is a good place to find you? How do you prefer to be contacted?
Yeah, well, going to our website is probably going to be the easiest, and you can. There's a phone number on there. You fill out a little form, we can get that. But you can also find us on social media. So we have a Facebook page. I'm on LinkedIn. My wife is on LinkedIn as well. So just the ordinary channels. You can just reach out to us.
So really, if you type in Caring Transitions, we'll find you no matter where you are.
That's right.
There we go.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also ask your real estate agent.
Ask me for referrals. Clearly I know good people.
That's the best way. Yeah.
That's the best way. So thank you so much for listening. And this episode was edited and produced by Will Robs.